Dear learners, welcome to this lecture. The topic of the lecture is Inheritance Part 1. This slide shows the outline of the video. So in this video, we are going to see what is an inheritance, what are all the types of inheritance exist in a language, how to create a subclass, and finally, we are going to discuss an example for single inheritance. What is an inheritance? The mechanism of deriving a new class from an existing class is called inheritance. The old class is called as a base class or superclass or parent class. The new class is called as subclass or derived class or child class. Why we are using inheritance? What is the advantage of inheritance? The main advantage is that code reusability and readability, which means when a child class inherits the properties and functionalities of the parent class, we need not write the same code again and again in the child class, which means the parent properties will be inherited automatically in the child class. We need not write anything again and again from the scratch. That is the main advantage of inheritance. Next, we are going to see the various types of inheritance. There are four types of inheritance exist in Java language. The first type is single inheritance. Single inheritance means there will be only one base class. I will show you the diagram in the subsequent slides. The next category is multi-level inheritance, which means the subclass is derived from another subclass. Hierarchical inheritance. In this case, there will be only one superclass, many subclasses. And the final category is multiple inheritance, which means the child class can have several base classes. And this inheritance is not supported in Java directly, whereas this type of inheritance is possible in the case of C++ language. Though it is not supported directly, we can achieve multiple inheritance with a concept called interfaces. That's all about the types of inheritances. Next, I am going to show you the diagrammatic illustrations for inheritance. So this is the first type of inheritance, that is single inheritance. So there will be one class A. So this will be the base class. Base class or superclass or parent class. And the class B is derived from A. So B is a child class or subclass. So for B class, there will be only one there will be only one base class. So this is called a single inheritance. And coming to the second category, multi-level inheritance, which means look at this diagram. So in this diagram, I have class A and class B and class C. So the arrow indicates that B is derived from A. So as far as A and B is concerned, B is the derived class and A is the parent class. Look at this second part of the diagram. In this diagram, B arrow mark C, which means the class C is derived from A. I'll, sorry, the derived class C is derived from B, whereas B is already a derived class. This concept is called multi-level inheritance. As far as this level is concerned, B is the parent class, C is the child class. Whereas as far as this level is concerned, A is the parent class, B is the child class. Overall, A is a grandparent class, B is a parent class, and C is a child class, which means C is derived from B, B in turn derived from A. So this is called multi-level inheritance. The next category is hierarchical inheritance, which means there will be only one base class. From the base class, more than one child classes can be inherited. So here A is a parent class. From A, I have derived B, C and D. And B, C and D are the child classes. In this case, more than one child class is possible, but only one base class. This is a hierarchical inheritance. And the fourth category is multiple inheritance, which means the child class is derived from more than one parent class. That is, here C is the child class and which is derived from A and B. So both A and B are serving as the parent for the child class C. This is a multiple inheritance, but this concept is not supported directly in the case of Java. But we can do this type of inheritance with the help of the concept called interfaces. We will see the interfaces later. Next, I am going to discuss the syntax for declaring a subclass. So, the syntax for declaring a subclass is very similar to the syntax for declaring a class. The only difference here is this is the difference. So, except this one, all other are similar. That is, we have to give the syntax like this: class, class name, extends, class name. So, the class name or the user defined variable names. Here, there will be two classes and there will be one keyword extends. So, which means this class is extended from this class. So, this class name, that is the first class here, this will be the subclass, and since this class is extended from this class will be the base class. So, we have to declare a class and this class has to be extended from one already existing class. The already existing class here is this one. This is the base class. And all other things which we are going to incorporate inside the class remains the same as the base class declaration. But the only difference here is the base class contains normally instance variables and methods, whereas here the subclass contains the base class instance variables and the methods and its own instance variables and methods. Suppose if the base class contains private members, what will happen? The private members are not accessible in the subclass, which means except the private member, all other members in the base class are inherited to the subclass. So the subclass contains its own properties as well as the properties derived from the base class. That's all about the subclass. And this is the syntax, and we have to give the instance variable like this: type instance variable 1 equal to value. Similarly, we can have n number of instance variable, and this is a syntax for defining a method: return type method name 1 of parameter list, opening curly brace, closing curly brace. Inside that we can have the statements. That's all about the syntax. Next, we are going to see an example for single inheritance. Single inheritance means there will be one base class and one child class. Let us start the exercise. See, here I have created one class, class A, opening curly brace and closing curly brace. Inside the class, I have declared two variables, I and j of type integer, and I have written one method inside A, that is show ij of, and this method will not return any value. The purpose of this show ij is nothing but to print the value of I and j. So here I am printing the value of I and j with appropriate format. For printing, we know that we have to use system.out.println method. That's all about this class. Here, this class is the base class. And next, consider this class, class B. See, now the name of the class is B, but look at this keyword extends A, which means B is extended from A, which means B is a subclass and it is derived from A, where A is the superclass. So the extends keyword is very, very important here. This is actually unique to this Java language. Already, if you are a C++ users, you know that there will be no extends keyword in C++, but this is possible in the case of Java language. That is, this keyword is available only in Java, whereas it is not in C++. Okay, so look at the components inside the class. This contains one instance variable, that is k. And I have introduced one method show k, used for printing the value of k with appropriate formatting. And one more method has been introduced, that is sum of. So the sum of function is used to find the summation of I, k, j. So look at this, I plus j plus k is computed and it will be printed with appropriate format using system.out.println. That's all about subclass. So as we discussed earlier, the base class contains only the base class members. That is, the base class object can access only the base class members. For this case, the base class object can able to access ij and show ij, whereas the subclass has its own properties, that is k, show k and sum. Also, it has the properties which are derived from the base class. Here the base class is A. So, as a whole, the B class contains I, J, K, show ij, show k and sum. So, B's object, it is possible to access I, J, K, show ij, show k and sum. That's all. Whereas with the help of the A's class object, it is possible to access only the members I, J and show k. That is the main difference. Next, I am going to introduce the main method for testing this inheritance. So look at this class, simple inheritance, and this is this class has the main method, and I have created objects for both the classes. A super OB equal to new A of. So this creates an object for the super class. The object name is super OB. Similarly, B sub OB equal to new B of. This statement creates an object for B class. That's all. As we discussed earlier, with the help of A's object, it is possible to access only the members of A's class. See, super OB dot I equal to 10. So 10 is assigned to I using the super OB object. So this is a valid statement. Super OB dot j equal to 20. So this is also a valid statement because both I and j resides in the base class. And I am accessing the I and j using the superclass object. Now, super OB dot show ij. Look at this. Show ij is the method of superclass. So this is also a valid statement. This statement invokes show ij so that the value of I and j will be printed with appropriate formatting. Next, I am going to invoke the variables I, J, K using sub OB. See, look at these three statements. Sub OB dot I equal to 7, sub OB dot J equal to 8, sub OB dot K equal to 9. So these three statements are valid as far as sub OB is concerned. Whereas super OB dot K equal to 30, if I give a statement like this means it will give you an error message because super OB may not know what is K. Whereas sub OB may know what is K, what is I and what is J because sub OB is capable of accessing both the members of base class and the subclass. Next, I am going to invoke show ij method. See, show ij method using sub OB object and show k method using sub OB object, and simply I am giving one println statement for formatting purpose. Then next I have invoked sub OB dot sum of. This statement invokes sum function, and sum function calculates I plus j plus k. Whereas sub OB is concerned, so what is the value of sub OB dot I is 7, sub OB dot j is equal to 8, sub OB dot k equal to 9. So that these three values are added. 7 plus 8 is 15, 15 plus 9 is 24. So the summation here is 24 and this will be printed with appropriate message, that is I plus j plus k colon e colon 24. Okay. So we have to save this program in our working environment in the name simple inheritance.java, and we have to compile it. We know how to compile it, Java C simple inheritance.java, and if there is no error, prompt will appear. Next, we have to execute this code. For executing, we have to use Java keyword, that is Java interpreter, Java space simple inheritance. So this will give you the results. So the results are this one. The contents of super OB colon I and j colon 10 and 20. As far as super OB is concerned, the value of I and j is 10 and 20. Whereas the contents of sub OB, I and j is 7, 8, whereas k is 9. Because here we have assigned sub ob dot I equal to 7, sub ob dot j equal to 8, and sub ob dot k equal to 9. That's why we are getting 7, 8, and 9 here. The summation here is I plus j plus k colon 24. This is the output of this program. I hope you understood how a single inheritance works. Let me sum up what we have learned in this lecture. So in this lecture, we have discussed what is an inheritance, what are the various types of inheritances possible in the case of Java language, and what is the syntax for declaring a subclass. And finally, we have discussed an example program for single inheritance. That's all about this session. We will see the remaining concepts in the next lecture. See you soon. Thank you.